3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. It's TCP. We're going to do some ADP talk today on the episode. I'm here with James Up.
Whoa.
Jay Up.
What's up, guys?
And I'm Travis Sutton. And before we get started, is there anything you guys want to talk about? Anything happened over the weekend? I know there's some stuff that's been kind of going on. CJ Anderson got released. A few different just random things.
Dez got released.
Oh, yeah.
Did we not forget?
Forgot about that guy.
Yeah.
Well, it's Tuesday,
Yes.
April 17th.
Yes.
Okay, it's tax day. At this point, where do you see his best fit is? Because I've heard all over the place he wants to go to the same division, but the division doesn't want him. Is that what we're gauging?
Yeah. So far, what it looks like is the front runners that he wants to go to, if he had his choice, is the Giants.
Well, good thing he doesn't have his choice.
Right. And right now, all three of the teams in the NFC East don't want to bring him in, but there is other interest, just not from his own division.
I think the Giants go out and get him.
It's
I think he takes a pay cut to go there to try to throw it in Dallas' face, maybe a one-year deal, incentive contract of like $8 million or whatever, $6.5 million with a bunch of incentives on the back end of receptions and whatever, like an approve it deal, and goes with Odell Beckham. I think that could personally backfire because they're both kind of head cases, or they're known to be locker room issues and off the field issues with both of them. But maybe that's good. Maybe he'll feel at home with another.
Brandon Marshall, they tried that same exact thing with Brandon Marshall, and that didn't really pan out.
Yeah, but he got hurt and.
Yeah, but he played 4 really bad games, and I think he had 1 decent game and then got hurt. So it just, to me, that didn't really work out. I think he, like I said before, he's the odd man out.
You don't want to see him go there as a Cowboy fan, do you?
I mean, not really, but I don't think he's ever gonna be the Dez he used to be. So I'm not.
I think
really,
he can be.
I don't know. I think he'd be better suited to go somewhere like Baltimore.
He needs to go somewhere that has a good quarterback, a strong arm quarterback that's accurate.
Best fit for fantasy wise would probably be the Packers.
I don't see him playing good in cold weather. I don't know. I see him if he already has drop issues in the past. Putting him in Lambeau Field in December and January. Is he going to catch better from Aaron Rodgers throwing bullet passes at him in 0-degree weather?
He doesn't have to be the number 1 there, though. It's less
Still
pressure.
has to catch the ball,
a great quarterback.
Still has to catch the ball.
I understand he has to catch the ball, but he's not going to be the number 1 guy there anymore. You know what I mean? He's in Dallas. They expect him to be the number 1.
I think that helps Devontae Adams.
The only one that would hurt, and Travis, you and I talked about this, the only one that would really kill fantasy value on would be Jimmy Graham. I think that because Dez is another red zone target. Like, they like to throw a lot of fades to him in the end zone.
Right.
So, that to me that would kind of kill Jimmy Graham, but I think it would actually help Devontae Adams. You're right.
And Cobb. I mean. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that's he's an alpha personality. I think Aaron Rodgers is an alpha personality too. So I don't know. That could clash. That could be oil and water.
Somebody's gonna have to take a 1B. Yeah.
I think right now it's very early. I think he's getting out there saying some things, and I kind of think he just needs to be quiet and let the market kind of come to him.
Which is not him, though.
Yeah, it's not. I think he's trying to get out there and kind of, I don't know, make some waves in a good way, but they're not. I don't know if it's working because I think you're just going to scare people off. I think if you just come out, humble yourself, like the boy from Alabama? No. Who played Jordan? Who beat Oklahoma? And said that to Baker. Humble yourself. You were telling me.
It wasn't Alabama. Was it Alabama?
Georgia. It was Georgia. Georgia. Humble yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not his style. So it could scare some teams off. I think the NFC East, they've seen him twice every year, and if they're not running out to be like, yeah, let's get this guy, then they've seen him the most, so they probably know what he has.
Right, so that says something. That the Redskins, Giants, and Eagles aren't interested. It kind of tells you, because let's face it, the Redskins, they could use a receiver. They don't have like a clear-cut go-to guy there. So if the Redskins aren't interested in bringing Dez, and you know the way Dan Snyder is that if he can get him for cheap just to screw over the Cowboys, like he would do it. So if he's not interested, then that's why I say he's the best receiver available on the market right now. Just be quiet and let it kind of dictate itself.
Yeah,
someone's going to take him.
Yeah, I think maybe he's coming out with an expectation of the amount of money. Maybe.
Yeah.
I have no idea what contract talks or what he's expecting to get, but they could be just waiting back, sitting in the weeds and waiting to get him at a decent price or have him kind of lose some leverage if he has any.
Right.
I don't know. I would like to see him go somewhere where he can kind of be not the focal point, but a good heavy, a good offense.
What about Houston? Goes to Houston. They have some money, and they let Deshaun Watson, Hopkins, Des Bryant, Will Fuller now can be the number 3 there.
I don't know. I also think he could not poison, but he could really throw a monkey wrench.
But that's why you only sign him for 1 season, and it's a prove it deal type of thing where he can come out and still show that he has it. Then he can get a 2-year or 3-year deal after that. I mean, he's 30, I think, or he's turning 30. So at the end of the season, I think he'll still be 30. Going into next year, he'll be 31. So he signs a 2-year deal after he can prove to everyone that he can still play. I mean, maybe Carolina Panthers could use him with Devin Funchess there. Take a little bit of pressure off him.
The Bills could use him. They have nobody really at receiver.
Yeah, I mean, Cardinals maybe put him with Larry Fitzgerald, and maybe he can humble himself there and be like, hey, dude, we don't do that here. Just stretch him out to catch 150 balls.
He could be a mentor to Zay Jones. Maybe calm him down a little bit.
There you go.
Hey, man.
A lot of people need help.
Ain't nothing to play with.
Yeah.
I think he wants. I think
ankle.
the best case scenario is that he gets a job before the draft, and that's not a lot of time. Because I think if teams are drafting and there's not an open spot for you,
you're talking 9 days
I know.
from today. So they better get something done pretty quick.
he needs to be quiet.
Let's dive into this ADP.
Let's
All
do
right,
it.
ADP. That's average draft position. We're doing rookies. We're not going to dive into any startup ADP on this episode. So I know we're getting ready for some rookie drafts of our own that are coming up. I have a startup coming up soon as well. So just to see where these rookies have been going since the kind of the beginning of the year, we're a week before. Is it a week before? About 9 days, you said?
9 days.
Before the actual draft. So a lot of these are going to move a little bit depending on their landing spots. But we've been watching some guys move already since the beginning of the year, before the combine, after the combine. So let's get right into it. Who wants to take April's ADP from Dynasty League football website? And we have our own kind of ADP and mocks we've been working on, so we'll kind of compare those. They're relatively similar almost anywhere you look these days, except for a few outliers. So who wants to take the helm here?
Top 6, Jay?
Jay.
So the top 6, obviously, we're not going to delve right into the top 4. They
No movement.
pretty much have stayed the same.
Yes, no movement.
It's been Barkley, Geis, Chubb, and Michelle, and those guys have stayed solid all the way back since February. When we get to the number 5 spot, where we see our biggest move is Rashad Penny. All the way back in February, you could get him at the 9th spot. Back in March, he moves up to the number 7, and now he's supplanted himself in the number 5 spot.
Why is he climbing so high?
Right. What has he done? I mean, he had the combine.
Combine did all right. So I think, from February to March, that's the combine. That's the first jump is the combine. Then from March to April, it's okay. Where do we think these guys are going to go in the NFL draft and that type of thing? Kind of changes, skews it a little bit, or pro days maybe for some guys. So obviously he had a decent combine, moved from 9 to 7. Now he's number 5. So they have ADP going 5 running backs in a row, which is very similar to last season. If you after Mike Williams got hurt, depending on when you did your draft, it was basically Corey Davis could have been the top 5, but everything else was running back.
I think this is a matter though of not that this running back class is just so strong like last year's was. I think it's just the receiving class is so up in the air.
Yes, I think there's a lot of talent at wide receiver. I just don't know who's got the most talent, and I think a lot of it is going to depend on where these guys land in the draft. And I think that if guys like Sutton and DJ Moore and Ridley and all the receivers that are supposed to be the top guys, go to good situations, they could easily jump back over Rashad Penny in the next couple weeks in the ADP.
And just around that top 6, like the guy you just mentioned, Sutton. That rounds out the top 6, and Sutton has actually fallen from the number 3 spot to the number 5 to number 6, and it's not so much that he's done anything wrong, it's just more that some guys are moving up kind of crazy. So it's not like Sutton's done anything. He should still be in that top 5, 6 spot anyways, but it's all going to depend on landing situation.
Yeah, I mean, top 6, 7 or so, I mean, they've all kind of relatively been in that area. Like Penny, for instance, he was first round rookie draft talk from the beginning, so he only helped himself. I think good combine, like you said. Other guys maybe had a mediocre combine, like Ronald Jones's. Those are guys are kind of, when you're looking at them together, they might be in the same tier, but you're able to kind of give the edge to a guy because, hey, he didn't do anything to hurt himself at the combine, and maybe another guy did.
And when, like James, if you want to take 7 through 12, there wasn't a whole lot of change this way either. Like pretty much the first round, even though guys have moved up and down, the first round is pretty much the same as it was back in February. It's just guys have been moving spots up and down.
Hey, before we move on to the next 6, how did our first 6 compare with
So our first 6 was Barkley, Geis, Chubb, Sony Michelle, all 4 of those completely the same as the April rankings. Then we had 5 Penny and 6 Sutton. So it's actually all 6 happen to be exactly the same. And this is without looking at this. We did our own mock drafts, a few of them actually, and then we did an average draft position of a consensus. We took the rankings and kind of divided it together and came out with the exact same top 6 as this website, which is Dynasty Elite Football.
Which I think a lot of ADPs you look at, you'll probably have the same top 6. Is there anybody that you would think that would be in the top 6 that's not in the top 6 on both of our?
Ronald Jones or DJ Moore are the 2 names that I've seen in mock drafts go as early as like 5 or 6, but then also can drop to like 9 or 10. Those 2 seem to be very hard to hammer down on where they should be drafted. Either way, like you said, they're going top 10. It's going to be in the first round. It just maybe comes down to the fancy team owner's needs. If it's a wide receiver, then I could see wide receiver going ahead of maybe 2 or 3 wide receivers going ahead of Ronald Jones.
It depends on philosophy too,
Yeah,
like we
absolutely.
talked about before. It's do you draft the best player available when it comes to your pick, or do you draft for your needs? Like if you are just completely stacked at running back, you have 4 guys that you could that are all running back 1 or running back 2s on your team, and yes, it is dynasty, so you have it for the long haul. But does that make you take a receiver before you should? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you take a receiver at number 3 because all you have is the first? You have 103.
See, I think that my philosophy used to be draft what I need, because I was so worried about being irrelevant or not making the playoffs or whatever. I'm like, well, all I really need is 2 receivers. How could I possibly go running back here? But with our dynasty league, to use an example, there's been so many trades over the last there's not very rarely does 2 weeks go by without a trade being made in this league. It's very active. So I now have accepted that the philosophy should be, for at least me, is to take the best player available, even if it overly stacks you at that position, because you always can make a move. So now you have those 4 guys, running backs that you were talking about.
Trade chips.
Now they're trade guys. Or you can keep the rookie or trade the rookie. Trade the rookie pick, trade back. Like, there's so many moves that you can make that I don't really think that there's a wrong way to approach it. But for me, you can't pass on talent to take a guy of lesser talent because of your team needs. You can always get that team need later in a trade or draft picks or whatever.
Because there's no guarantee on these guys.
Right.
You could have 3 out of the first 5 picks and not one of them pops. There's no guarantee on any of these guys. It's all a lottery ticket. You do your homework and you do your due diligence, and you think you might know which guy's going to go where, but when it all comes down to it, you're just guessing.
Educated guesses.
Yeah.
Educated guesses.
Yeah,
You're doing your homework, but I'm saying
The outcomes,
Barkley could be, the biggest stud ever come out, or he could come out and just hit like minor injury after minor injury and then just never pan out to anything. You don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Want to hear the next 6?
Living by fear.
Yep.
It gets us all sometimes.
At number 7, starting at number 7, back into the first round, you have Ronald Jones, you have DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley at 9, James Washington at 10, Royce Freeman at 11, Christian Kirk at 12. So the first round that's done, and it's all running backs and receivers. No tight ends this year, no quarterbacks this year, all receivers and running backs. How many running backs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 running backs, and 5 receivers.
And the biggest move, just by kind of glancing up here, it looks like it's DJ Moore. And back in February, you're getting DJ Moore in the 12th spot, which is still a first rounder. He slowly moved up to number 8, and he kind of stayed right there at number 8. So
bam, the combine hit.
Yeah, 4.4. He ran a 4.4 240, 6 foot 210.
Some guys like that.
Washington kind of jumped ahead of Ridley, it looks like. Not on the latest one, but I'm sorry, I closed the gap as far as.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, close the gap is what he did. Basically, Ridley dropped from 7 to 9, but he didn't really do anything to warrant dropping. It's more just people kind of jumped up ahead of him.
What do you, out of those 2 guys, because I think they're kind of similar in height, weight, they're both right around 6 foot tall, right around the 190, 200 range. Which one do you guys like more out of those 2, Ridley or James Washington? Because Ridley ran a 4.43, Washington kind of a slow time, 4.54, but he's bigger, he's 213 pounds, so he's got a little bit more weight to him. I mean, they're both not the quote-unquote prototypical size for a wide receiver, so who do you guys favor out of those 2?
I think I favor Ridley over Washington slightly. I think that he's going to be the more polished route runner. I think he's not going to need as much time to catch up to the NFL as James Washington.
29 years old.
Well, same thing as Cooper Kupp last year. He kind of came in as a good route runner, and he pretty much proved that this year. Like, when you have guys that come out and they're that polished, they're going to contribute. Doesn't mean they're going to be number 1 receivers, but they're going to contribute off the bat and not take as long to pick up the playbook.
I'd probably lean James Washington. I like his style of play. I think versus Ridley, I do think Ridley's a better route runner, and he's got some good skills, he's got some good game. But I think James Washington's more of a dog. He's got a little bit of fight in him. I think he's fast enough. 4.5, that's plenty fast. And he's a little bit stocky, a little bit thicker. I think what turns me off about Calvin Ridley is his frame.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a little bit slider build, but
Yes.
I still think he's a good. But I mean, they talked about Sterling Shepard being such a great route runner when he came out, and I'm not overly impressed with Sterling Shepard. I'm not saying he's the same.
But you guys like DJ Moore better than both these guys? Like he kind of
I'm
came
not a
on
big-
out of
I'm not a
nowhere.
big DJ Moore fan. Like I like him.
To me,
as
he
a
could-
player, NFL player, but fantasy player, I'm not
To-
super high on
To
him.
me, I see him for whatever reason as that could be the guy that's like that bust that like kept rising and kept rising and kept rising in the ADPs and then just kind of just has a mediocre, just season or two. Whereas the other guys I think come with more talent, more pedigree, better route running, better hands, and they're more consistent and they've been there in the top 8 or top 9 discussion and have stayed there and maintained exactly where they're at. Like you saw the combine, they didn't do anything spectacular because they just did what they were supposed to do and they just no real change happened there. Where all of a sudden DJ Moore goes from 12 to 8. Now he's being drafted in Summit like top 6 as the number 1 overall receiver taken over Cortland Sutton as well. So I think he's the Samaje Perine of this year. Somehow he just squeaks in there and you're like, whoa, where'd this guy come from? And then just doesn't really do anything. It's my guess.
That's your.
My synopsis.
That's how you
So
feel about
we
it?
actually had DJ Moore come in at number 7 for our consensus ADP rankings for TCP.
Mhm.
We had Ridley come in at 8, James Washington at 9. We had Ronald Jones at 10. We had Royce Freeman at 11, and we had Christian Kirk at 12. So Christian Kirk was right on, and so was Freeman, 11 and 12. 10 was Washington. We had him at 9, and you had Jones, Ronald Jones again. Ronald Jones right now is being drafted as number 7 overall. We had him at 10.
Like,
What do we not like about him?
I think we're all a little bit lower on him
Mm-hmm.
as a consensus, the three of us, than that is out there. I think he's a pretty decisive player from everything I've heard and read. You either really like him or you just shoot holes through the
4.6, 5.40
I'm just not
was a little.
100%
He
sold
was
on
kind
this.
of banged up though.
It's not that I don't love Ronald Jones. I'm just like in the middle with him. I'm just not 100% sure. There's a couple of guys that we'll talk about on this list that I'm just not 100% sold on. But it doesn't mean I don't like them. And he's on a steady decline, but he's only dropping 1 spot each time. In February they had him in the number 5 spot. Then he went to number 6 in March, and now in April you're getting him at number 7. So it's not like he's taking a nosedive, but he's steadily declining. But he's still going to be a first rounder. And if you can get him
Yeah.
somewhere in the 9, 10, 11 spot, I think you're still getting a little bit of value.
Yeah, absolutely. As like the 6th running back off the board.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Is there any other name that jumps out at you from 6 to 12 that either shouldn't be there or is too high or too low? Anybody?
No,
I think
not
it's
for me.
yeah, me too. I think it's like Kerryon Johnson was a guy that in February was going at number 11. Now Kerryon Johnson, and then he went 14 in March, and now he's back up to 30. He's one of those guys that you were just talking about, Jay, that we can't really figure out on. He's up, he's down.
That's the second one of the guys I was talking about.
Yeah.
Carry Johnson, I just can't figure
Well,
out.
hit us with the next.
Well, I think
6
it's just not to cut you off, but
Yeah, sorry.
it's early second round. It's probably where he should be. Like you said, in this class of running backs, it's a little bit deeper. I mean, in another class, he'd probably go higher, but I think it's just kind of deep at the top.
Right. I agree. So you want to hit us
So-
with the next?
Yeah, the next
From
step. So this
13
is going
now?
to be 13. This is a 201 spot. So you got Kerryon Johnson, Equinemius St. Brown, John Kelly, Michael Gallup, Kalen Ballage, and Dallas Goddard.
Our first tight end off the board at 18, huh?
Which I think is where it should be. It should be about in the first half of the second round. I
Yeah.
don't think any tight end will go in a rookie draft in the first round. It's not as
Last season was an anomaly
Right.
with the O.J. Howards and the Evan Ingrams and
I
Njoku.
think they were just great prospects
Yeah.
compared to these guys. There's a couple good ones this year, but there were some studs last year.
I agree. So,
But as far as like risers and fallers, you don't really see too much except for Dallas Goddard. Where was he back in February? Can you go over to February's and look and see, because he wasn't even in the top 24. He was number 28.
mhm.
Jumped to number 20 in March and made his way all the way up to number 18 in April.
That's
So
definitely combine. Like, he killed the combine.
and he had a decent pro day.
Yeah.
So he's made a name for himself. It looks like he'll probably be the number 1 tight end taken in most rookie drafts. I
Mhm.
mean, someone may be partial to Mark Andrews, some might be partial to Mike Gesicki. but I think that Goddard, in my book, should be the first tight end taken in a rookie draft. In our mocks, he actually came in number 19, so we're one off.
Yeah, I think that after last season, the pedigree of tight ends that came out, everyone kind of jumped on board with drafting them a little higher than they probably should. And now after seeing like how sometimes it does take a year or two to develop as a tight end in the NFL, I think people are more apt to not taking a chance on a tight end and rather take a chance on a running back or receiver at that spot. And that's why they've fallen 6, 7, 8 spots down.
Can you guys
from where they
remember
were.
what? Because I really don't remember John Kelly's combine. Did he do really well at the combine?
I don't think he ran a 40, did he?
I don't
That's
remember
why.
him running a 40.
He didn't.
Okay, so he went in February. John Kelly out of Tennessee. He was number 25, so he was right at the turn there, almost in the third round territory.
Mm-hmm.
And he slowly moved his way up to top 15 of your drafts. Like March and April, he's at number 15.
I keep hearing great things about this kid from Tennessee. Everyone's talking about how aggressive that he runs for the size that he's at is perfect because he's 216 pounds. He's 5'10", kind of a prototypical running back. He could put on 5 or 6 extra pounds maybe. But as far as like his running ability, he runs super aggressive, not afraid of contact. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and I think that's why he's risen so high. And he has passed over guys like Mark Walton, Bo Scarborough, those type of guys. But he's still in running back 7 or 8 category. He also jumped over Kalen Ballage too. Ballage was 17. He stayed at 17 this entire time.
I have him ahead of Ballage. Easily.
So do I. Oh, I wouldn't say easily. 2 spots?
No, I mean I'm talking about like my personal rankings.
Okay.
I have Kelly ahead of Ballage.
Easily, huh?
We do too in our ADP. TCP's ADP is Kerryon Johnson at 13, St. Brown at 14, 15 is Gallup, 16 is John Kelly we're talking about now, 17 is Walton, 18 Kalen Ballage. So again, in ours, in the top 18, which is all the way through 206, there is not a tight end taken until the next pick after that. Any of these guys here, anyone stand out? These 6 guys between Johnson and Goddard? In between any of those guys? Because where did Michael Gallup come from? Like, why has he been ranked 16, 17, 16? Like, did he have that much of an amazing season? Did he kill the combine? Like, he ran a 4.1. He's 6'1", 205. Like,
He
what
had
did
a
he
good
do?
season. He had a good season for the Rams in college.
He's the one name that kind of stands out to me as like, how is he so high?
I think he's right where he should be.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely
I do
second rounder, and he should be like. I think he's right, you can see from the ADP that people look like they agree with us. Like you said, he stayed at 16, 17, and 16. So I think he's right where he should be. I don't think he snuck up on anybody. Like he had a good season last season for Colorado State.
Yeah, he's been very, like I said, he's been right where he's at. Like he hasn't gone up or down. So I don't know. He's just one of the names that kind of stood out for me. St. Brown, everyone loves him because of his size. He's 6'5", 214.
Can't teach that.
Can't teach that. He ran a 4.48. Can't teach that either. I like him, and he had really bad quarterback play last year. I think that if you get him in a situation where he has an accurate quarterback, I think that he could have a successful first year right off the get-go of decent amount of targets and catches, but that's just me.
If there's nobody else to talk about in this grouping, you want to
Yeah.
talk about the next. You want
Yeah,
the next
this is
round
where we
about
kind
it?
of differ a little bit because quarterbacks started going off the board in other ADPs, and just in our leagues that we play in, quarterbacks aren't sought after as much as other leagues.
But this is a good class.
But this is a great class of quarterback, and that's why I think they're drafted earlier. Normally in ours, they go in the 3rd round. Even early 3rd round is acceptable. Mid-3rd. Now they're starting to go in the 2nd, and I just don't know if any quarterbacks in our actual league, in a PPR league, one quarterback start, if there's going to be any quarterbacks going in the top 24. I just don't see it.
You don't?
Mm-mm.
I do.
What, 23, 24? Or like you're talking about middle of the round?
I can see at least 2 of them going. I know one's going for sure.
To you?
That's possible.
Okay.
What do you think?
so-
You pick 206?
206, if there's nobody else that I really like in that area. Yeah.
Then you're going
There's
who?
probably 2 guys that I'm looking at.
Who's your top quarterback in your rankings?
In my rankings?
Baker Mayfield
it
and
depends
Lamar
on
Jackson?
how I'm looking at it. If I'm looking for like immediate impact that I see has a high ceiling, it's probably Lamar Jackson. But it all depends on where they go to. If a guy goes somewhere and he's probably not going to get on the field that first year, then that'll change things.
Talent rises to the top. So 19 through 24 rounding off the 2nd round. They have ADP wise, they have Baker Mayfield, our first quarterback off the board there: Mark Walton, Lamar Jackson, Josh Rosen, Anthony Miller, Mike Gesicki. So in that little 6 spots at that back end of the second round, you have 3 quarterbacks, a tight end, and then a running back and a receiver. To me, I don't see Josh Rosen going that high. Mayfield, maybe. I guess it all depends on where he lands. Again, if Baker Mayfield lands in Miami, or if he lands at the Jets, or if he lands somewhere that's going to take a top 10 pick on him, and he actually does have a chance to come in and play, then yeah, I guess if you're that bad at quarterback help, it's just weird to me that in a 12-team league, there's so many quarterbacks.
Most likely you got a taxi squad. And yeah, you need to be depending on the quarterback you're drafting. You should be able to throw him on the taxi squad and not have to worry about it at all. And you're going to grow that organically instead of getting stuck with no quarterbacks at some point and then have to go overpay for a quarterback. So yeah, I could see.
Yeah, but look at the guys that are going around him. This is what I always do. Okay, look at Josh Rosen. Who's going after Josh Rosen? Anthony Miller, who's a wide receiver from Memphis, looks really good. Bo Scarborough was a running back as well. That's around him. Who else is below him? DJ Chark, Deion Kane, Josh Adams, like all these guys. I think I would rather take a chance on them popping somewhere than a quarterback that the chances are you have at least one starting quarterback, if not 2. If you don't have 2 starting quarterbacks, then you should be trading for one, not waiting for one to develop organically over the next 2 seasons, in my opinion. I like guys that come in and have a chance to produce right away.
Yeah, but you got.
What if you got a quarterback that's on his last?
I have Tom Brady.
Okay, then you'll never get a quarterback to grow organically. You'll just go out and trade for him.
I did. I took Mitchell Trubisky last year in the late in the fourth round.
But we already said that was a different class. This class they're going to go earlier.
2 rounds earlier.
What's going to happen is
if you would have known what Watson did last year, he would have went a whole.
I can't let a 6-game sample size to completely change my philosophy on a quarterback.
But you're also going to see runs like you do in every draft. Even when it's redraft, dynasty, you always see these little runs that happen because people get panicked because they don't have maybe a lot of picks.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to see just like this. You can look at every ADP and they're all kind of bunched together. So once you see Mayfield go or Lamar Jackson, if that's your number 1 quarterback, and then you get like a little bit of a run because right outside the top 24 they have Sam Darnold at number 25. So all these guys are kind of bunched together. I think the only one that's going to fall a little bit, not much, but it's probably Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's even with him going to the Browns number 1 if he does get taken number 1. I think he'll be a little bit behind these guys. And then later on in your draft, I'm talking like probably 4th round or so, you're going to see Mason Rudolph, maybe even 5th round. So there's going to be runs. Like once like say Travis takes him with the 206, takes Lamar Jackson,
for sure.
Someone's going to take another quarterback within the next 1 or 2 picks.
It's perfect because in our draft, I have the 205, and I'm definitely not going quarterback. I'll take whoever I think's there. If Travis starts off a trend of quarterbacks, that's great for me because I have another pick at 307, and I'm still not going to take a quarterback there. I won't take a quarterback till the 4th round, and whoever's there is there if I want a quarterback or not. So it kind of works out for me. Hopefully he starts a trend and everyone just jumps on that.
But you took a quarterback last year, Mitchell Trubisky. You have Brady and Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's why you're not taking a quarterback.
Yeah, but everyone...
Not everybody's in a position like that. Some guys will be in a position, and there's millions of drafts out there, so you never know what somebody's position is. And if you only have 1 pick and you traded away a lot of your picks, and the one thing you kind of need to get to stash is a quarterback that you think is going to be a franchise quarterback, like everybody keeps talking, then
go for it for sure.
If you don't like some of the receivers or whatever that are that late anyway, then yeah.
That's where philosophy comes into play because
I can see it happening.
You're still taking the best player available at that spot. Like you're sitting in that position where look at my quarterbacks for instance. I have Derek Carr and Case Keenum. So if I get to that third late 2nd round, early 3rd, I may look at a quarterback as opposed to the 10th best running back.
Yeah.
Because that's the position I'm going to be sitting in.
This is all coach speak. There's no way you're doing that. There's no way you're doing that.
With Carr and Keenum, you don't think I'm looking at quarterback?
No. Not in the 2nd round. I'd be willing to bet money on it.
I don't have a 2nd round pick until 212 is what I'm saying. So if I'm talking about my specific team at 212, 302, 303, I'm looking at quarterback.
Okay. Alright, I don't buy it. Okay.
Why is that so out of the realm of possibility to you?
We'll see.
You seem disgusted.
It's either that or I missed the boat on every quarterback because by the time I pick again, like late 3rd, they're all going to be gone.
That's because you know that you can make a trade at any time for a quarterback because the value of quarterback is not that great because we're in a 12-team league.
That's why you can't make a trade for quarterbacks because there's no value. Because each team is going to value their quarterback more than you're going to value their quarterback. You go try to get Deshaun Watson from the Deshaun Watson, or he's going to want 2 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. Try to get Aaron Rodgers from him. Try and get any of these guys. Try to get, like, you said you would give up Brady for a draft pick or whatever, but Brady's on, on borrowed time, in my opinion. Like, he's already making waves with Bill Belichick, and they're talking about him not coming back again and all this other stuff.
Okay.
So it's like that's why you can't make a trade in this league with quarterbacks, is no one values them. You have to get a throw in later on down the road somewhere.
Okay, very well said. So, Gesicki, second tight end taken off the board. Where's Mark Andrews here? Why is he
a lot further than he was in February, because he was getting taken number 18.
Okay, so he went from 18 to where? In March. I don't even see him on the top 27. There he is, number 27. So 18, then he drops to 27. Now he's 29. Why is he dropping? Why is he dropping so much? He ran a 4.67 on the 40-yard dash time, which is pretty good for a tight end that's 6'5", almost 260. What did he do? I mean, is it? Man, I don't know. I liked him when we did a rookie spotlight on him. I thought for sure he was a top 2 of the tight ends coming out. Now he's being drafted as a third, and he's being drafted as a third way later than Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert right now is 11 spots higher than Mark Andrews, a whole round. I don't think his talent is that much better than Mark Andrews.
I have Goddard higher than the 3 of these, but as far as Gesicki and Andrews, I have them
Andrews
literally
second, right?
side by side.
Okay.
No, I could flip a coin.
Mhm.
Literally, that's how close I am.
So
on
it
those
depends
two.
on the landing spot for them.
Yeah, are they gonna make an immediate impact and
Right.
come right in?
I think if Baltimore takes one of these tight ends, I think that immediately that tight end should be the top 1 out of the 3, because they have 0 tight ends there, and he will be the starting tight end if Baltimore ends up drafting a tight end.
But it also got to remember, it takes 3 years usually for tight ends to start making a contribution.
Yeah.
Evan Ingram was thrust into that spot in New York because they had nobody else. They're signing guys off the street to play receiver.
Right.
So it all depends on the situation, but when you get down, especially once you get past, I know we're only going to do 2 rounds here, but when you get past the second round, you're literally just looking for diamonds in the rough. You're looking for guys that are just the lottery ticket. Like, this guy could be good.
Or your guys that you kind of like, and
Right.
I mean those are the rounds that if I like somebody, I'll take him. If he pans out, he pans out. If he doesn't, he doesn't.
He's the first guy cut.
Yeah, he'll be on the bottom of the roster anyway. So
For sure.
oh shout.
So that rounds out the top 24. I don't think I read our our back end second round. We have it starting with number 19. Dallas Goedert. We have Anthony Miller at 20. Josh Adams at 21. He wasn't on the top 24 list of the ADP on the website because he's going right now currently at 32. Not sure what he did, but a lot of people either love him or a lot of people hate him, and I don't know what the deciding factor is to make people hate him so much or like him so much.
This is my theory. No, this is my theory. I think that
Everybody's got to be doing something. What did he do?
How's he dropping?
I think he's just an average running back. But he was made to look so good, and his stats were kind of padded because they have 2 offensive linemen on Notre Dame that are going to be like top 15 picks. So everyone's kind of leery with him. Is it a product of just having a really good offensive line and just being an average running back? Or is it because he's good and he made the offensive linemen, the holes they opened up, it just made them look massive? You know, I think people are just leery with it. I think he's just an average running back that looked better with his line.
But he started off in February being drafted as number 22 overall, then doesn't run a 40-yard dash at the combine.
I don't think he did anything at the combine.
He didn't. Okay, so then now he drops to 34. So he drops an entire round down to 34. Now he's back up to 32. So he went up 2 spots in the last month and a half.
His pro day happened.
So exactly, and he did okay in his pro day, I thought. So to me, he's one of those guys that can be a steal. That if you're going to get this guy in the back end of the second or early third round, he's a guy that I think can come in and actually produce pretty quickly. 6'2", 220, prototypical size, a little bit taller than you'd like, but I mean, I don't see him doing anything wrong to drop that much. So he's one of those guys that kind of red flagged me. Like guys like Mark Walton that are jumping up after coming off a season-ending ankle injury, not doing the 3-cone drill and whatever, and still is like rising, and then guys like Josh Adams who are just dropping like an anvil for no reason.
Yeah, I can't see it, and I actually like Mark Walton.
What's the difference?
I think you can get Mark Walton at a good value if you get him late second, but I don't know why he's rising. That's what I can't figure out.
What has he done to make him rise? Not
if
much.
anything, the ankle that he's not 100% still is kind of alarming.
Right, he didn't run the 3-cone drill, pro day or combine. Why? He wants to show everyone that his ankle's okay, and then he doesn't run the one drill that would prove that, hey, my ankle's fine by making a bunch of cuts and spins in a small area, and then you don't run it, but he's still going up. And then you have Josh Adams who didn't do anything, goes to his pro day, has a decent pro day, dropping like a bad habit. So we have 22. He was 21 for Josh Adams. 22 is Lamar Jackson, our first quarterback off the board at 22. 23 was Baker Mayfield. 24, Deion Kane, who also didn't make the top 24 list on the ADP website here. And 25, honorable mention, Bo Scarborough.
He's another guy I'm not big on either, Deion Kane. Unless he lands in a really, really good spot, the stuff I'm seeing with him is just not impressing me.
Deion Kane also plummeting. Number 20. He started off number 20 in February. In March, they have him at 20. Where's he at? 31. Okay, so from 20 to 31, and now he's 30. So 30 is right about where he's at now. But he goes in the combine, 6'2", 202, ran a 4.43 at the combine, and dropped an entire round.
That's not all he dropped. He dropped a lot of passes on his pro day, and they said he looked really bad too. So,
but his pro day happened between March and April. The combine happened between February and March's ranking. So he dropped a round after he ran a 4.4. Then he had his pro day, and that's why he jumped up one spot.
Well,
and he went to wide receiver U.
Is one spot really jumping up? I mean, it's
no, that's what I'm saying.
It's basically the same area, same spot.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's other guys that are looking better. He's kind of a speed guy. His name, I don't know, man. You start to learn more about other guys. And
Yes.
You start to rise.
It's not necessarily he's falling; it's other guys are rising.
Yeah, it looks
I
like
guess.
he's starting to settle into maybe where his value kind of should be in the community. And if you like Deion Kane, you like his game, then this is a value for you.
How about this? How about I'll hit you guys with a question. You get to the third round, you have like say a mid. You have like a 305, 306, 307, somewhere around there, and you need a receiver, or you want to take a receiver at the spot. You have Deion Kane, and you have Auden Tate, who has dropped like a rock from the very first one we did in February, with our DLF did in February, their first mock. He's dropped completely out.
I take Auden Tate.
Mid third round, so you're getting decent value with whoever you take, but you're deciding between Deion Kane and Auden Tate on the board.
Auden Tate's a lot bigger. I like that.
I like him bigger.
6'5", 228. I mean, sign me up.
Yeah, at that point, I'd probably take a look at where they're at, their road to getting some meaningful playing time, and if they're in a system that kind of favors their game.
Like slow receivers, like because Tate ran like in quicksand during his 40-yard dash.
Ran a 4.68.
I think he barely squeaked out against Baker Mayfield.
I think Anquan Bolden was really slow at his combine and stuff too. So I mean, you can have a productive career and not be blazing fast. So yeah.
Well, Anquan Bolden was a quarterback though.
I didn't see him play quarterback in the NFL.
But I'm saying that he wasn't ever a blazing speed guy. Like he was a quarterback at first, and
He did pretty well as a
they
wide
switched him to
receiver.
wide receiver.
Is my point. He did pretty well as a wide receiver. So I don't think that's the end all be all. If he ran a real slow time, yeah. It's very. I mean, Funch just ran a slow time like that. Kelvin Benjamin ran a slow time like that. There's big guys that run slow times like that, and they can be productive for you. They're not gonna be world beaters necessarily, but they're gonna have their role. So it just depends on where he goes and the system he's in for me at that point. But I would lean probably Auden Tate if the situation's right. If they're both good situations, I'd probably lean Auden Tate.
Me as well. Two other guys I want to mention that just barely squeaked out of the top 24, and then we can wrap up as Nyheim Hines, who's been shot out of a rocket the last 2 months. He went from the late 50s to now he's being drafted at number 31 because I guess his 40-yard dash time is 5'8", 198.
No.
Smaller guy, 4'3", 840.
I think the more you start to see his name, and the more you dig, and he's got a pretty decent game, and he could be the way the NFL is now, and they specialize in roles. Like he can come in and be a pass catching guy, and he can do a lot of stuff in space. So
He reminds me of Amir Abdullah. You need to cater to what he's good at, and that's scary for
He's
unless
going to
he
be a
fits,
specialty
and-
running back.
yes,
He's
unless
not going to be a
right, unless he fits directly in with what that team wants to do and use him the right way. I think he can only be used one way, and I think it's in the passing game. He's a specialty back, and that kind of scares me taking him so high when he was in the late 50s before.
yeah, but he's only going in the third round. I mean, it's not like so high. It's not like he shot up to the second or first
Well,
round.
was that 305, 306, 307, something like that?
I mean, look at the guys around him. I mean, if he
Yeah, I'd rather have Josh Adams than him. I'd rather have Auden Tate than him. I'd rather have Deshaun Hamilton.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything like Abdullah, because Abdullah was drafted high in the
Mhm.
NFL draft, and he was drafted to be more than just that. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, it kind of reminds you. I mean, this guy's small. He's small and fast, but Abdullah was drafted to be something he's not.
same school colors.
And the last guy, DJ Chark. DJ Chark, I haven't mentioned. We didn't do a rookie spotlight on him, but he's kind of inching his way right around that back end second, early third. Do you see somebody maybe taking a chance on him in the second round? I can see that possible because he's so fast. I mean, he's 6'3", 200 pounds. He ran a 4.34. He was the other guy that had a really blazing 40-yard dash time. But even before, he was 32 in February. He was ranked 32. Then he jumped up to 26. Now he's right around 26, 27. So right at the back end, early third. He's one of those guys that I didn't personally like what he did in college didn't really impress me. His numbers weren't that great, but he's fast and he did really well at the combine. He looked good at pro day as well, so he might be one of those guys to keep an eye on that could pop because no one's really heard of him except for the combine. 40-yard dash time. That helps.
It's hard when you got guys like that in college because it just didn't cater to LSU's the way they run their playbook. It's like they don't throw to their running backs.
He just reminds me of a Deshaun Jackson, Ted Ginn guy that's just going to run fly routes all the time, and he's going to be one of those guys, going to be a specialty guy that every once in a while he'll get those 3 catches for 102 yards and a touchdown.
Right, which is why he's okay in the third round. I think he's right where he should be. I don't think he should be in the second round.
Correct. I don't think he should get into the second round, but I could see somebody taking a chance on him just because he's fast and he looks good.
I got the 212. I'll trade him to you. You can take him with the 212.
No, I don't want him. I said I don't like him.
Okay.
So you can take him at 212. Anything else you guys want to add
to quarterback at 212
to our consensus or the ADP consensus?
No, I think I'm good.
Let's wrap it up. Oh wait, do you want to?
No, I'll just say we'll come back and touch on ADP after the actual draft because that's when I think the real meaningful movement will happen.
Yeah, so 2 weeks, right? So not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday will be May 2nd-ish, and that will be the first podcast that we record after the draft for the ADP, and then we can kind of look at it.
I can't wait for that one. That one's going to be a little longer of an episode, I think, because I think we're going to be excited to talk about these guys.
Landing spots, who they have to beat out, who, if you see them producing right away or not, there'll be a lot of questions answered.
Yeah, so this is our last ADP until the actual NFL draft, and when we reconvene on this subject, it should be a lot more exciting for the landing spots there.
Yeah, I'm excited. 9 days. 9
So
days to the
excited.
draft.
I'm going to crack one.
Okay. Crack it.
Crack it.